Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Jen Blandos from UN Women, and I am here today with Kelly Lundberg, who is going to be running a masterclass for us on mastering your elevator pitch. And we're so excited that we have Kelly with us today because Kelly is probably one of the experts in the UAE when it comes to things like personal branding and really mastering your elevator pitch. So we're lucky that we've got Kelly for the next 90 minutes to take us through that. I'm Jen Blandos. I'm going to be your co-host for the day. And what my role is going to be is just to be able to really help facilitate the questions and engage with everybody. If you do have any questions, please can I ask, because we are going to be a very large group today, if you do put your questions in the chat box and I will look at the questions and I will put them to Kelly. We're trying to make today's session really interactive, so there will be opportunities where Kelly will be inviting people to unmute themselves, and we're going to put you into breakout rooms. So it's going to be very practical and interactive today. But if I could just please ask that everybody keeps themselves muted for the beginning of the session, so we can just make sure that Kelly's not going to have any interruptions when she's delivering today. The other quick thing that I ask as well is please that this is a non-commercial presentation and masterclass. And so please don't be trying to pitch for business or writing about your business in the chat box, because this is very much a session which is here to benefit everybody as well. Okay, I'm going to hand everything over to Kelly to do an introduction. And while we do that, we have a little poll for you, which is just going to come up as well. And also as well, I'm very sorry if you want to do tag us on social media. We love social media, and please do, as always, go and put everything up on social media. Now, when Kelly is going and doing her introduction, I would like it if you could please take a quick second and fill in our poll that we have about doing an elevator pitch. Okay, Kelly, over to you. You can go to the next page.
Super. Thank you so much for the introduction as everyone is filling out the poll. Awesome. So nice to meet you all, so many of you, and to meet so many of you virtually. I'm Kelly Lundberg. I have been in the Middle East now for more than, I'm going to start really showing my age, but shall we just leave it at 2 decades? And throughout that time, I've been an entrepreneur for the past let's say 18 years of those. And one of the things that I have really learned in that sort of journey is how important your elevator pitch is. And so many times I'm going to be sharing real-time examples with you as well as to how it's actually benefited me, where it's benefited, and not just me, also my clients. So in the position that I'm in now, I'm mentoring a lot of new business owners or those that are already in business, but they want to elevate their personal brand to the next level. And it's something very common that I see that business owners and even employees don't have clarity on what it is that they actually do. And often people get so sort of confused and tongue-tied and nervous about how to tell someone what it is they actually do. And it's a really good test to sort of even see if you could explain what your partner does or what your friend does. And in turn, could they actually explain what it is that you do? So ideally, by the end of today's session, you are going to be able to eloquently, which is what I want to aim for, eloquently share your elevator pitch or what it is that you do with those that you know for a number of reasons, and those I'm going to get into it. So I'm going to head on now and go into our first slide, which is what is an elevator pitch? And I'm going to go into what is an elevator pitch. I've just seen the poll that's kind of coming up here at the moment. Who knows what an elevator pitch is, or how much knowledge do you have about it? And it's quite interesting to see that. Am I okay to share the stats on this, Jen? Is that as they're coming in?
Yeah, they've actually just shown up there as well. So I've just shared the poll, and it looks like we're pretty much split 50-50 there on people feeling kind of okay about it or very good, with some that have no knowledge or not very good knowledge.
Which is perfect, because just a small percentage have actually said, yeah, I'm very comfortable with this, which is why I think, okay, so for those that are kind of got the average knowledge or no knowledge, or maybe, you know, just not very sure, this is going to be a great session for you. And I really want you to, when I say go off and do this work together in the breakout rooms, I really want you to do it and come back, and we want to hear some of your stories. And I'm going to give you a really simple formula after we've gone through this at the end for you to create your own elevator pitch. Simply, that's what we're aiming for. But here's the point, you know, an elevator pitch is really just a short, simple statement that you can use in a professional capacity at an event or an organization that just really clearly defines what it is that you actually do. Okay, and the name sort of kind of gives it away about an elevator pitch and how it's actually called an elevator pitch. And this is the thing, you know, you might think that you have the best idea in the world about, or you might be the best candidate for the job, but I always say, really don't overestimate the interest that other people have in you or your product. As much as you have clarity about what it is that you do, other people are just not always as interested, and that's why it's got to be super, super simple for them. Let me just move into here. So why is an elevator pitch important? So I'd love to know your thoughts on this. I have lots of answers. Come into the chat box and tell me, for those that maybe know or average maybe know why they maybe think an elevator pitch is important. Share away, chat in the box, and give me some thoughts. And maybe Jen, I can pass it over to you to share some ideas on what people are saying.
Absolutely. And I am just waiting to see, everybody's being very quiet in the chat box. So come on, let's, so we have to help everyone understand what you do in a simpler, quick way. It summarizes who we are and what we do, so the audience has clarity on what you do. It can get you more clients from different fields, attracts attention, more visibility, create a strong impact in a few key words. Now it's coming in so fast, Kelly, just to kind of keep up and read them. Allows others to understand and remember what you do on a day-to-day basis and why you're the best at it.
Ooh, I like that.
I do as well. It can help an entrepreneur to arrange the plan and get investors who might be interested.
Yeah, like that as well.
A one-time opportunity to sell yourself. Short and crisp answer describing our unique selling point. Build credibility, work on our brand and image. We've got lots and lots and lots now. Make sure that you communicate to the consumer about your product or service. And then one person said, who can forget the elevator pitch in the movie Working Girl?
I love it.
To make a better version of us. So we have lots and lots of different ideas. So that's really great as well.
I like that element there about, you know, making the right first impression, and certainly coming from the personal brand side, you never really get that second chance. It's super hard to make that second chance, that first impression, to really nail it. And especially if you own your own business, you know, I can tell you that through personal experience, it has brought in all of those things that everyone said, built up, you know, your personal brand image, help me meet new clients, because other people have been able to clearly explain what it is that I do. And in turn, that results in clients, or in turn results in PR coverage, and all of these aspects bring more credibility and awareness to what it is that you actually do. So a couple of other thoughts, you know, it demonstrates clarity. If there's anything else, I think people love to overcomplicate things and maybe even make themselves sound, you know, more important, or that they're more in control, or people just get, we wear a lot of hats in business. This is the other thing as well. Whether we're employed by someone or we have our own business, we wear a lot of hats, and people are always quite passionate about wanting to share in this very short window of an elevator pitch. all those different hats. And I think the key is demonstrate clarity, is know your audience. So know who it is you're talking to, and know that you might have a couple of different elevator pitches depending on who you're speaking to and what the person actually does. Not only does it help your, your potential prospect, but it organizes your thoughts. And I think from that, back to that first impression of your personal brand, it really helps you come across as an expert in what you do, because you're not fumbling over words, or you're not getting tongue-tied, which often can happen. It is also not a sales pitch. And I think that's, one of the things I'm going to go into a little bit more detail is to mistakes that people make in an elevator pitch so that you don't make any. And one of those is it's not a sales pitch. So it's there for you to clearly define, but you don't sell when you do your elevator pitch. Unless, of course, okay, the difference being you're actually selling yourself in front of an investor to that description. The idea is keeping this elevator pitch very general. The whole concept being where elevator pitch came from is that opportunity when you go into an elevator, you have somewhere in the region of sort of 15 seconds to, okay, let's say 90 seconds if you're going up to the Burj Khalifa, but we probably are not all doing that on a daily basis. So let's just kind of say between 15 and 60 seconds to explain what it is that you do. So that's where the kind of whole concept of an elevator pitch has come from. And if you're pitching from an investment perspective, that's slightly different. So I wanted to share this little example here, and it looks, I don't think you can recognize the actual stadium here, but I wanted to share this little story with you to demonstrate how important an elevator pitch is. So a number of years ago, I was at an award ceremony back in London, and the host of the award ceremony had said to me, can I introduce you to a friend of mine? I was there as an attendee. I was nominated for an award and I was on my own. I said, sure. So as I went over, she started to introduce, she said, oh, my friend works in HR. And this was in London. I'm living back in Dubai. So I knew my elevator pitch was not going to be, at the time, I was a celebrity stylist. I had a styling agency in the Middle East. So this was maybe about 8 years ago. So I wasn't going to say to her, oh, I style, or I help style clients, royalty, whatever. That wasn't the right sort of description of what it was I do. So I shared with her the other hat that I did, because I heard that she worked in HR. She said I said to her, I'm particularly passionate about empowering employees in the workplace to dress with purpose and present themselves and have a great first impression. It was like, we're talking 8 years ago, but you get the gist of where that came from. Anyway, it transpired that this lady was the HR manager of Arsenal Football Club. Now, I didn't know this at the time. So we got chatting, and she was like, I'm really interested in this topic and within sort of corporate. And 2 weeks later, she had hired me to fly. So I'd gone back to Dubai because I was just back for the award ceremony. She'd hired me to then fly from Dubai back to London, attend an Arsenal match. Not that the football aspect has anything to do with it, but my role was to see all the VIP hosts and hostesses and present a corporate presentation to all these VIP hosts and hostesses at Arsenal Football Club. It was an amazing experience. One, because the capacity of it, but two, to be working with brands of that level. And also I was paid thousands of dollars from just one elevator pitch. So I just wanted to, and that was just one example of, where I can clearly remember putting on the right hat and sharing that information with that lady, and it actually resulting in quite a short space of time is it actually being a paid job, which is great. I'd love to know in the questions box, can anyone share with me an example where they've used their elevator pitch and it's resulted in something? Remember, it doesn't always need to necessarily be a sale. It could be an opportunity. It could be, just another door opening. There was another, elevator. I remember super early on in my business. I was still flying at the time. So, I moved to the Middle East 20 years ago as cabin crew. And I remember sharing at the time with a pilot. I think we were flying to Bangkok actually. And I remember saying to him that I was setting up a business. So I was kind of giving him a bit of my elevator pitch as to what I was doing. But then I happened to share with him that I was really struggling to find out how to license the business. We're talking, 18 years ago, 19 years ago. And through that sort of elevator pitch, he was like, oh, you need to speak to so-and-so. When we arrive, I'll put you in touch with them. And literally the day I landed back from Bangkok as still crew, managed to tie up with the person that he'd connected to, and my business was set up within 2 days. And that was like the missing link that I needed. So opportunity-wise, huge. Jen, over to you. Has anyone got any other experiences that they can inspire the audience with?
So far, not. One thing I just wanted to mention as well is if I could please ask everyone not to go and pitch for business and pitch themselves, because this isn't a commercial presentation. So we're having a lot of people putting their contact details and saying who they are. So if I can just remind everybody that that's not the purpose, although we're talking about elevator pitches today, that's not the purpose. If you can focus on listening to Kelly's presentation. Kelly, we haven't really had any examples. We have one woman who said, I'm dying to know, why is it called an elevator pitch?
Okay, I'll share the thoughts on that again. So elevator, the whole concept being that you go into an elevator, into a confined space, if you like, and you have in an elevator, depending on how many floors you're going up and down, between 15 seconds, and they say in the books, in the research, they say 90 seconds, but I often think that that's quite a long time. Well, certainly in the lifts in Dubai, they're pretty quick here. Between 15 and 60 seconds, I would say, to say to somebody what it is that you do. So you're in an elevator, and a lot of people think that they are in the elevator to the Burj Khalifa, and an elevator pitch is not 2.5 minutes. It's short, it's concise, it's to the point, and has amazing benefits when you get it right.
And we have a few people who have given examples. One woman has said, I did pitch at Cannes and I won twice. So
wow.
That's quite good. And then another one has said, I do it frequently to each new customer coming to my free sessions, and I'm good in closing the sale, but I've never tried it to get an opportunity.
Okay, nice.
And then another one has said, I recently shared in a networking event that I would need to focus on business development for my online program. And a lady said, please give me your contact. I'd love to help market it with you. Oh,
I love that. So it is just always a sales pitch. You could end up getting a job out of it. Like, there's just so many opportunities where and how an elevator pitch can be used. And also, it's not just spoken. So we're talking about the spoken elevator pitch, but it's also how you write it as well. And we're going to come into that in just a minute. Let's head on. So is there anything else you wanted to add there, Jen?
Yeah, actually, there's one that I think maybe we can just have as a conversation throughout. Is someone has said 15 to 60 seconds. Really? Does this resonate with people that fast? And that, Kelly.
Which part? Does it resonate with people? As in, if you are super clear about what it is that you actually do, 100% it resonates with people. It's keywords. And I'm going to give you a formula at the end, a really simple formula that I want you to think about how you can use it, but absolutely. And the whole thing about, your elevator pitch is one part of your personal brand. People will then associate with what you say, also visually, oh yeah, that person, for me, often the two and two come hand in hand. Oh yeah, Kelly, who does personal branding, she was in style. And then people, if they've met me in person, will tend to know that from what I'm wearing. So then they can associate the two. So how can someone remember you really clearly? And your style, your first impression, or how you say it? Do you make someone laugh? Do you make them think? There's other ways to remember them. So it's a great question, but absolutely.
And one other question, which I think is interesting, is she said, my main challenge is adapting the message to the audience, especially if it's a potential investor. So that I know you're going to answer a little bit later in the presentation as well.
Yeah, and if it hasn't, come back and give us a little bit more information, and I can see how I can make it sort of more specific to you, that others benefit from it as well. Okay, so how long should an elevator pitch here be? Well, I was looking for your questions, but I sort of gave that away a little bit earlier on when people were asking. An elevator pitch should be between 15, and they say between 15 and 90 seconds, but I genuinely think that is just too long. I would want someone to be able to clearly say what they do in under 60 seconds. What about you, Jen? Would you say the same?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say definitely under a minute. You need to be short and quick and to the point, because that's also how quickly people are going to decide if they want to engage with you, if they want to do business with you, if you're interesting. So you need to get to the point and find that message.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go into some of the mistakes that people make. And if anyone, while I'm sharing this, has had either they've made a mistake, share it with us, because this is like, it's all an opportunity. We all learn from each other. I don't hold all the answers. So I want to know if you've maybe said something before and it really backfired and it didn't work, or has someone done something to you in terms of an elevator pitch and you didn't like it? Because I think that would be kind of really useful to share. So mistakes that people make. Well, the best elevator pitches really use simple words and communicates the benefits of kind of what it is that you do and how you can help someone quickly. A lot of people like to use words that they know. And in turn, and I have to say, I'll be dead honest, I made that mistake a couple of years ago. So just to give you an example, I'm a personal branding expert. I help CEOs and entrepreneurs build their personal brand on and offline. But one of the elevator pitches I was using a couple of years ago was I was talking about developing their brand you, because brand you was something that I talked about as my program. I'll help brand you, brand you. And I remember a coach said to me, you know what that means, but other people don't know what that means. Keep it simple. Tell people exactly on the basic line what it is that you do. So make it super easy. Don't use words that, maybe it's only your organization, and just be careful about jargon and other environments that, people wouldn't know what it actually is. I see this a lot. People ramble. Does everyone know what ramble means? People just go on too long. They get a bit tongue-tied. And then they just, and a lot of people, this happens to a lot of people when they first start out. If they're new in business, they're nervous and they get tongue-tied, which is why it's even more important to keep it short and concise and practice it. So many times I get my clients to write it out, they speak it into their phone, they listen to it, they print it out and put it on their mirror in the bathroom, so they can be so clean and clear at explaining exactly what it is that they do, so that they don't ramble. Other people talk way too fast. I try to not be guilty of that, especially with a Scottish accent. I think now, being in the Middle East for 20 years, my accent slowed down a little bit. But elevators, despite the fact that they're supposed to be quick, it's not for you to rattle off blah, 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 blah in as little time as possible. And again, a really good elevator pitch is all about something that is well thought out. Other mistakes people make is they focus on more than one thing. So this is a question that I do get a lot is, yeah, but we do many things in our business. And I understand that. And there's ways around explaining that, but also not everyone needs to know everything that you're doing in your business, because it's not always relevant to them. So this is where, and I think we had that question a little bit earlier about it's being a better judge of who it is that you're meeting, being a judge of the audience, and who can actually help you, or where opportunities come from. And as much as we're talking about it being super concise and short, what generally happens is you say what it is that you do and the other person goes, oh, that's interesting, or oh, I haven't heard of that, or how does that work as a business? Generally, most people will ask a question, and this is when it gives you the opportunity to go into the second part of what it is that you actually do. But in the initial part, try and focus on just one thing. The other aspect that mistakes that people make is that they make the pitch, I say all about you, but all about them. So it's, and you know, it's like people are really bad at doing this when they write it in emails. And I see it a lot, and I'll get 5 paragraphs about someone, and every single paragraph will start with I, and I'm just like, this is, you've lost me. So it's not always about making the pitch about you. Sure, you have to put in a credibility or tell who it is you help, but there's elements to that. We've talked about not understanding your audience. So if you're not understanding your audience, then you're not able to potentially use the right elevator pitch or not clearly define what it is that you're doing. Trying to sound too clever, and people are not always aware that they're trying to sound too clever. It's just that, again, sort of using technology or using words that sound too clever, or adding in too much, or, you know, sharing details that really just aren't relevant. You know, things like, you know, university degrees and all of this kind of stuff. There is no need necessarily for that in an elevator pitch. It can just be what it is that you're currently doing now. And the other aspects of an elevator pitch that I think a lot of people actually forget about is they don't follow up. So an elevator pitch is, as much as it's about, you know, sharing what it is that you're doing, connecting with someone, opportunities that might come from that. There was another situation, and it's funny how things, as you start to talk, I remember telling someone about what I was working on at the time and how I was wanting to write a new book. And literally that person gave me the contact for my publisher. So just that clarity piece is so important. But to finish on that final point, that it's all good and well that you share with someone what it is that you do or how you can help them. But where is the follow-up? Where is the wanting to potentially meet with them for a coffee or have a Zoom call, or even just connect with them on LinkedIn? And this is something that I would say, Jen's talked about this platform being not a place for you to pitch your services, but this is an opportunity for you to see names and go and connect with people on LinkedIn. Go and find out about what it is that they do. Start that natural interaction and finding out about how to take things to the next level, find out what it is that they do, and so on. So mistakes that people make. Okay, question for you now. I've done a little bit of chatting. Where and when would you use an elevator pitch? Aside the elevator, where else would you use an elevator pitch? I'd love to hear what you're going to share in this, because I think we've got a lot of examples now where people think, okay, it's not necessarily just about you telling someone what it is that you do. So Jen,
Kelly, we're getting a lot of people, everybody's pretty much saying networking events and events. Okay. That's an easy one. Someone said anywhere, basically, wherever there's an opportunity. When anyone asks you what you do, you never know who you could make a contact with. Coffee mornings. Someone says at time I meet someone and there's an opportunity. On the phone, recruiting volunteers, anytime you meet someone new, job interview, social media, LinkedIn bio. Someone says walking my dog.
Oh, I love that one.
You never know who you meet. Absolutely. You never know who you meet, right?
In the gym?
Yeah. Someone's just said in the gym, kids' classes. And it is really anywhere, because you never know who you're going to meet as well. Someone said in the Starbucks queue.
Love this. Do you know, and I'm going to, I cannot remember the name of the book, but this has happened to me when I've flown. Even just on this last flight, I flew back. I was in Scotland last month, and it was the end of, I was flying out of Glasgow, and COP26 had just finished up. And I ended up sitting next to some minister who'd been bumped from business to economy, and I was sitting next to him, and we had a right chat. He'd been attending COP26. He was a minister in India, responsible for all the climate change, and it was such an interesting conversation. And we were talking about personal branding and how to present. Someone next to you on the airplane, I always think you never know who it's going to be. And there's an amazing book out there. I really enjoyed it. If anyone can remember it, when you're doing your breakout rooms, I'm going to find it on my Audible, because I read it, and it's based on a story about this guy who sat in the seat 1C next to Richard Branson, and he shared all his lessons. Can anyone remember? If you can, type it into the box, and we can share that knowledge, because it's actually a really good book. Okay, so some ideas, and all of those are totally relevant that Jen shared. Obviously, in the most common ones in an elevator, networking events, job or career fairs, conferences, awards ceremonies. You know, even when someone's pitching you, and I always think it's really important, and think about this today, you're going to get a bit of time to work on your elevator pitch, first person, but you also need an elevator pitch that's third person. So if you're attending an awards ceremony, and if you're at a conference, or if Jen was introducing me, I would need an elevator pitch for her to introduce me. A couple of other places, things like voicemails. I mean, you might not go into too much detail, but it could even be something as simple as during a call, you might need to tell people what it is that you actually do. An interview, in an email. And again, that sort of first person and third person. Today was the perfect example. I had a mentoring call this week. One of my clients is a sustainability advisor, and there's a few people that I wanted to put her in touch with. And I said to her, can you just send me 2 short lines that I can share with the clients as if it was from me about her? Super simple. Shared it, and it was done. So you want something like that saved, so it's super easy to share with people. And then I guess the final element for that is all on your social bios. That's where you also want to have your elevator pitch, and they don't give you much space. You know, Twitter gives you 140 characters. I think Instagram is even less, but you'll see there in magazines and in press, people are always looking for your bio to say what it is that you do. And then that's going to be there as part of your digital footprint. So when it comes to the personal brand piece, when someone comes to Google you, what actually comes up about you? And this is what you want people to see. Super, super, super clear. So like I shared my LinkedIn one there with you all. Big mistake that people make on LinkedIn is actually write what is already on their CV. You know, founder of, let's just say, founder of Toys R Us. I don't know where that came from. Maybe it's Christmas and I'm seeing an ad subconsciously. But, you know, that doesn't serve anyone. What does serve it is saying, you know, what industry that you're in. Think about what people are searching. And the one thing for me that people have searched so much on LinkedIn is that a speaker, you know, so put TEDx speaker, there's the credibility, business mentor, but it's also explaining what it is that I help people do. Has anyone got anything else that they kind of want to add to the elevator pitch, or where they might use it? Now I've sort of touched on a little bit of social, written, first person, third person. Does everyone know the difference between first person and third person? If you don't, it's okay, I can share. Jen, anything that anyone else wants to add?
So I just wanted to touch a little bit more on biographies, because there's been a few questions about that, and people have been saying that they find it really hard to write an elevator pitch for their biography, choosing what to say, what they should remove. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. And actually, what one person said, which is so true as well, is fewer words is actually more difficult than writing a lot. It's so maybe if you have thoughts on that, I have a few views as well, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I mean, people always find it really hard about writing about themselves, for starters.
Yeah.
So let's just put that down there. Everyone finds it really hard. I would actually say, from personal experience, the best investment I made when I was in business was I actually paid someone to help me write my very first bio. And that really helped me get an impression of, the style, how I come across, much like sort of a couple of my best investments early on in business was getting someone to help me with that elevator pitch and getting great personal branded photographs. Those were sort of two things that early on in business, it's back to that first impression, that people make. People, if they're Googling you, for example, the first thing they're going to see is a picture of you, then read the bio about you, and then actually go into to connect with you on social media or drop you an email or whatever. So some of the thoughts, what I always say to people and those that I mentor is, start with, a whole story. It doesn't matter. You can have a one page. Let's write everything down. Why you do what it is that you do, get a little bit of your story so it's all there. Because I often find that's a really good platform if you're going to write, if you're going to share that with a copywriter, they know a lot more about you and are able. I always think that a second set of eyes, as we discussed this morning, having a little look over something can pull out parts because you're so attached to your story and what it is that you do that it is really hard to make it simpler. But hopefully the formula I'm going to give you afterwards will help with that. Jen, is there anything you want to share on that?
Yeah, I mean, I also find as well that as you said, it's right to go and start with a lot, and then you can always distill that into smaller amounts. And I find too that it's also useful to have a few different biographies, because as you grow as an entrepreneur as well, you get asked to maybe speak at conferences or on webinars, or maybe people want to see your profile. And sometimes they want a very detailed profile and they want to know more about your expertise. And other times, as you said, it is you're speaking at a conference. They want 3 lines to go and speak about you. And it's much better if you create that information rather than giving them the 4 or 5 paragraphs and having people go and choose what they think is important. So then you can really kind of control your brand there as well.
Yeah, I find it quite frustrating actually as a podcast host when I ask people to send me over their bio and then they send it to me in first person, and it's like, just make my life a little bit easier. And journalists are exactly the same. If you want to, if you want to have a consistent brand image, make sure that everything that you share is easy for everyone else. But just to add to your point there, absolutely different pitches for different aspects within your business. So I have a different elevator pitch, if you like, for anything that's content creation. So brands will ask me to work with them on whether it's a fashion thing, whether it's business. So I did something that was tech and business related the other day. And that's slightly different because it talks about my social following and what I do within that realm rather than through my hat of personal brands. So you may need a couple of them. Has anyone got any other questions on that, Jen?
As you said, just to make sure you have your first person and your third person biography. And one person has asked for more clarification about first person and third person. And basically, do you want to just summarize again the difference between a first person and a third person biography?
Sure. So first person would be I'm saying it. So it would be I am this is what I do. It's I'm as if I'm saying it. The third person would be Kelly is a personal brand expert, has been in the industry for more than 20 years, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. So that, and then it just makes life so much easier whenever you're dealing with someone, and you just want to make people's life easier, because when you make people's lives easier, they do more for you. Like press is just one example, making sure when you send to them things like your bio in third person, professional
Yeah.
pictures, you know, all of that, it just helps your personal brand image.
And there's a couple more that I want to talk to you about. One is biographies for a website. So one person has said, on my website, I have my biography as first person because I feel it's more personal. And she wants to know what your opinion is on website bios. I'd like to hear yours because I have an opinion on this as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, it does depend on what sort of business that you're in. I definitely think that there's a space, if not for it all to be in first person, it's certainly to be a portion of it as to why, because it certainly coming from the personal brand piece, people connect with people. Why do you do things? So I definitely think that there's a space to be creative. There's a space to say what it is that you exactly do. How I've done this on my website is I've tried to sort of break it up. When you've been in business 20 years, there's a lot of things to do and talk about, but you want to try and make it as simple as possible. So I did a little bit of a about me and my story because it was on my personal branded website. On my Brand You Creators website, it would be slightly different because there's an element in third person, but there's also an element in first person. Jen, do you want to add to that? Because I know that.
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, okay. So my view on that is it depends on what kind of business you have and you're in and who your target audience is. Because if you're a coach and you're basically promoting just you and your coaching services, absolutely that makes sense to be in first person. But if you are trying to present yourself as more of the business rather than just you, but as the business, that it makes much more sense to write that in third person, because when you write it in first person on a business page, I think it makes you look small. And if you want to make it seem like you're a larger business, even if it's just you and an assistant to start with, or maybe just even you, but you have plans on growing, it makes sense to kind of position yourself that you're a larger organization in a way, which would be writing it in third person.
Yeah, I also think that there's potentially a space to kind of give a quote or a note from the CEO or a additional aspect to say why it is that you do something. Because then I think if it's all in third person, at the end of the day, it can be quite impersonal. So I completely agree with the business element and to be bigger, 100%. But it's the same when you do a press release or you're sending something out, and in that press release that you share all the details, but as the business owner or as someone who's sharing
you have the quote.
You put that quote in. And I think that is also nice on websites as well, to have that personal touch as to why someone would actually do that.
Now, before we jump on as well, let's talk about LinkedIn. I know you're very big on LinkedIn as well, and let's talk about that. A lot of people are saying, tell me, is LinkedIn first person or third person? So what's your view on that?
My view on that, according to the training that I have done with LinkedIn, is first person. So they have really, in the past sort of 2 or 3 years, they have really tried to move away from being seen as a business CV. And it's so much more than that. And those that are utilizing that platform on a much more personal and authentic level are getting much, much, much better results. So in this training, they'd said, there's no need for it to be in third person, which is what it always was. Move it to first person, and then you can share more details about, why you do things. Why does someone want to connect with you? Why does someone want to do business with you? What can you share with them? So that's, in my experience from the training that LinkedIn have told me, do it in first person.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because LinkedIn is more person to person, right? It's not, it would be different on your company page on LinkedIn. That would obviously be third person, but when it's your individual profile, it needs to be person to person, which should be first person.
Yeah, absolutely. So utilize that top space. So see where mine says personal brand, style expert, business mentor. So there's a couple of key points that people may type in a search: style, or more importantly, personal brand. Okay, they'll type in that, and then it's exactly what it is that I say I do before people have to go down and search. What the mistake people do is then they would do Kelly Lundberg, CEO or founder of Brand New Creators. Well, that doesn't tell anyone anything. So that's why they also say, try and make that, utilize that space there to what it is that you do, because your actual position is already further down on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And one last LinkedIn question, because I want to give us time to work on our elevator pitches. But one person has also said that they have a couple of different business hats. And so kind of like you as well, that you've got a few different businesses. Do you combine them both into one biography, or do you make two different profiles?
I would certainly have one that includes all of them, because at the end of the day, that is your brand, and there'll be a way that you can sort of weave it into what it is that you do. So I would definitely say, yes, have one that includes it all, because people do ask as well, you know, about like an Instagram account. Oh, I've got several businesses, and under my personal brand, what should I be putting into that Instagram? Should I have an Instagram account because I'm an interior designer? And should I have an Instagram account because I'm also doing something in tech? And I always say, no, have one that you can share all the aspects of what you do, because that is part of who you are. So that was one element of it, including one bio, but then also back to what that Jen and I were talking about, there is a space for different bios or pitches or elevator pitches, depending on what it is that you're doing. So I have a content creator pitch, and I will, do you know what I'll do is, while you're, when you're in your breakout rooms, I'll find my media kit and I'll share the different elevator pitch if you find that useful, or the different pitch, so you can see what I mean by the difference between what you're seeing on the screen on LinkedIn and on my Instagram and a bio that's there, for example.
They all want that, Kelly, because there's been lots of people as well who have been saying that they want to hear your elevator pitch. So the pressure is on that you're going to have to deliver that.
Well, to be honest, okay, nothing changes on what's out there anyway on the screens. It's super simple, but I will share it. Okay, so I go into the next one? So I've got a little I call this your brand you message, okay? And these are the questions that I want you to work through, and then we're going to go into you creating your elevator pitch. So maybe take a picture of this, or if you can write super fast, write it down. So I want you to think about this. What is your niche, okay? What is the current situation? So what do I mean by that is, what is the current situation that, let's just say you're an entrepreneur, what is the current situation, or you're a business owner, or let's say you're a coach, okay? What is the current situation of your clients? Okay, so maybe it's they don't have purpose, or you know, they're lost, or maybe they're struggling with addiction, or whatever it is. What is the current situation of what it is that you're doing? If you're an employee, what is the current situation of what it is that you do, which leads into then what is the desired situation. So the desired situation is, what is it that you do? So from, if you were an employee, the current situation is, you know, clients come to you with a prospect for designing an event, and the desired situation is, you know, an event for 500 people. What is the current situation? Someone who's tackling addiction. What is the desired situation is for them to not be addicted to it, to stop being addicted to whatever it is that they're doing. Okay, so think about that. What is your niche? What's the current situation of your clients, or what it is that you do? Because I know we've got a mix. I know not everyone has a business here. What's the desired situation? Does this niche have their own language? And if so, what are some of the keywords, phrases, and statements they use? I want you to be really aware of this, because remember we talked about keywords, and keywords are really important, but also things that maybe other people don't understand. We want to be careful and not use them. Okay, what is your niche? What's the current situation? What is the desired situation? Does this niche have their own language? So we need to think about that. Everyone taking a picture, because I'm going to nip onto the next slide, and then you're going to go into a little breakout room for 10 minutes, Jen, and they can do their home play.
Yep. So we're going to go for 10 minutes. when you're ready, let me know. What I'm going to do is just have it set so it automatically puts people into breakout rooms of approximately 6 to 7 people per room, but I think there'll be some less in certain groups. If you're not participating, just don't join, but you should within Zoom get a little notification asking you to go into the room. So if you could accept that and pop into your room.
I love technology. When it works, it is a fabulous tool. So this is the questions that you can think about. First of all, maybe ask the person that you're working with, ask in the group, what is your niche? What is the current situation? What is the desired situation? And think about, does this niche have their own language and keywords? Because what you're going to put this into is a really simple sentence. I help niche. Okay, so whatever your niche is, and a lot of people get really, if I'm trying to think of a diplomatic word, people get quite offensive about, but I don't have a niche and I help everyone. And for the purpose of this niche, I think that could be a whole nother masterclass on why people need to have a niche. But anyway, help your niche to get what is the result, okay? Because that question there that I asked you was the desired situation. Okay, that's why I asked you that. What is it that you help them get by? And I say your offer or what it is that you're doing or your service or your role as an employee. Now, I know people have said to me, and I use coaching as an example, oh, help is a disempowering word. And this has come from working with a number of different coaches to simplify. If you don't like the word help, feel free to find another word that's similar. But from a simplicity perspective, people understand I help or I empower or you get the bit. I help niche to get result by what it is that you do. Super, super, super simple. Okay, anyone got any questions at this point? And let you go into your breakout rooms.
Okay. Let's send everybody away. It's 11:25, so we'll meet back here at 11:35. So here we go. Just if you can please click the join button that's going to pop in front of you, please. Looks good, Kelly. We've got everybody. It looks like most people are joining. I don't think we have any room where there's people who are by themselves. So. We still have quite a few of you on the screen in the main room who haven't joined. If you do want to take part, it's only 10 minutes, but I think it will be really beneficial and it's a great opportunity for you to network and to get to meet some other people as well within the female entrepreneurship community. So if you can accept the invitation that's popped in front of you, that would be fabulous.
Jen, I've just sent you a message.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Okay, Kelly, I'll set the timer. Since people are just getting introduced, I'll set the timer now for 10 minutes and let you know, okay? Okay, Kelly, I'm closing the breakout rooms and bringing everyone back.
I'm excited to hear what we've got.
I know. Got 30 seconds left.
I'm desperately trying to find this book. I can't remember the name of that. This guy gets upgraded and ends up sitting in this 1C, and 1A is supposed to be based on a true story of meeting Richard Branson. And I can't for the life of me remember what it's called, but it's just such a good book when we're talking about this as a opportunity, you know, when you have to meet someone and talk about it.
Yeah.
Or Google and see.
And he wrote a whole book about it.
The guy who did, yeah. And I can see the front cover. It's a picture of, you know, the window on an airplane.
Is it the Millionaire Upgrade?
Thank you. Yes. Fucking me. I was like, what is it called? Thank you. Right, I can stop Googling now. And I did have it in my Audible, and I was like, why is it not there? So that is a perfect example of, it's actually a really good book. Who shared that, by the way?
That was me, Lolita.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks, Lolita.
I have read it, yeah. And when you were saying it, I was like, oh, I want to say it, but I didn't say anything.
Oh, I'm so glad. This was like someone on my shoulder going, yeah, it was this one. And what did you think of it?
I really liked it. It was really interesting.
Yeah, it really was. And I think from that whole aspect of, you know, when you use an elevator pitch, you just never know who you're going to sit next to or who you're going to talk to and who that person can be. So
yeah, exactly.
Thank you. That was annoyed me all day. Right. So what's the best way to do this, Jen?
So
I'm looking for examples.
You want to hear some examples. So what I think we'd like to do is have some people volunteer in the chat box who would like to give their elevator pitch, and then we will call you on up here. And you'll get a chance to present to 110 people.
This is great practice. Well, maybe what I'll do is while people are coming forward, I'm going to show you two things. So in that kind of breakout, I found my my media kit. So I wanted to show you my media kit, and I'll screen share that in just a minute. But what I did want to go through was my elevator pitch for you. And again, I'm using it in this capacity. I wear a number of different hats, but this is generally how mine goes. I help entrepreneurs and CEOs grow their personal brand, both on and offline, by increasing their visibility and maximizing their financial return with my brand you or my personal brand mentoring methodology. So it depends who we're speaking to. Brand you is my terminology, so I'm consciously aware that not everyone understands that. So it's just to help entrepreneurs and CEOs grow their personal brand both on and offline by increasing their visibility, maximizing their financial return. And I do this with my personal branding mentoring methodology. So that's my elevator pitch, my current elevator pitch. I've had many over the years. Let me think
what we should do for people that we call up, we'll maybe take the first 5 or so, maybe see if we have a bit more time, we can do a bit more. Does that sound good to you, Kelly?
Perfect. What I'm just going to share screen right now is this is my media kit. And why I wanted to show you this was just, it's a different hat. So I don't necessarily talk about being a personal brand, but it's bringing in the media and the digital side. So I'm going to show you this now. So you can see there, it's in first person. And the sort of the capacity, and when people are dealing with, or when people want to utilize my services, shall we say, is either through style or it's through entrepreneur. There's the credibility piece of the brands that I've worked with. So that's a little bit more than what I would necessarily say in an elevator, for example. But this just gives you a different piece on how and when you would use something. So that's my initial, so this is my landing page for my media kit. And then we've got, hey there, this is very similar to my website. everything is in first person on my website. And then I go into when someone might want to use a media kit. So they might want to hire me as a speaker, or they might want to work with me in personal branding. I say in a personal brand, use my personal brand to promote their product. So it could be a weekend in the Maldives, which is very nice when that happens. Could be working with a sports brand. It could be a fashion brand, and sharing the details there. So I hope that helps for everyone. That was just something that was a little bit different. Okay, Jen, over to you.
Excellent. Okay, so the first one, I'm going to do it in order of people who have asked to. The first one is Zelina. Zelina, if you'd like to come up, and what I'm going to do just before you do it is I'm also going to spotlight you with Kelly, so everybody will be able to see you as well. There we go.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, nice to meet you. So what I might just do to make it a little bit easier is maybe just pretend that we've met. So okay. I'll just be like, hi, so nice to meet you. What is it that you do?
Hi, Kelly. Great to meet you too. I help pregnant women and mothers become more intuitive through movement, predominantly yoga, and connecting with their inner voice through intuition coaching.
Oh my God, I love it. That's awesome. I really think that's so clear, because what I love about that is, okay, I'm not your clientele, but as soon as you said pregnant mothers, I know other people that are pregnant that I could be, oh, I just met this lady who helps pregnant people. So it's that whole aspect of, I might not be your target audience, but you said keywords that allow me to be able to tell other people about you. I thought that was great.
Great.
Then anything you wanted to add?
No, I think that's great. Really well done.
Thank you. Can I ask something about that?
Yeah.
And so I love that. And that is a big part of my niche, pregnant women and mums. And it's something I am very passionate about based on my own experience. I don't want to only limit the business. I know.
I tell you, if I just had 10 dirhams for every person that said that to me, I wouldn't need to work again. Because so many people get caught up in this whole space of going, but I don't want to limit myself to just pregnant women. And that is not what's going to happen at all. It's just that for your marketing, that's what your message can be. Because what it could be after you say, oh, pregnant woman, okay, great. But then you can go into the next part. So when I said people will ask a question off the back of that, then when you go into the next part, you can then go into a little bit more detail that maybe doesn't just deal with pregnant women. But so many people go, but I don't want my niche to just be this. And just think about it just from a marketing perspective.
Great.
It's so crucial when you're sharing on your social media or when you're telling someone what it is, because if you started to complicate that with adding in other things, you probably would have lost me.
Yeah.
But the idea is that those other people will bring you. Years and years and years ago, when I first started my styling business, like 18 years ago, I had a very, it wasn't as concise as what elevator pitches are now, but my clientele were women. And I said, I empower women, I style women, blah, blah, blah. That was it. Did I only style women? No, I worked with loads of men. But the marketing was focused around women, and then men would come from that. So don't worry.
Great.
You've got it. I thought it was brilliant. Well done.
Thank you.
And I think it was a really relevant point actually as well, that just to bring in there for everyone else going, but I don't want to just work with these people. And listen, you might in 5 years' time not work with pregnant women at all, because your knowledge and where you are in your life point has changed. And that's okay. You will improve it. Like your personal brand, everything just keeps evolving.
Yeah.
Well done.
Great. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Jen.
Welcome.
Okay, what I'm doing is I'm going through the list in order just to keep it fair for everyone. So the next one is Hethel. Hethel, if you could maybe just unmute yourself. Hang on a second. Let me just spotlight you as well so everybody can see you. There we go.
So I'll do the same. So lovely, Hetal, to meet you. What is it that you do?
Hi, Kelly. Nice to meet you too. So I'm Hetal Mohan. I'm from Mauritius, and I help adults and kids recover from chronic illnesses and mental health imbalances through yoga and Ayurveda.
Nice. Okay, I like that. Because I was like, okay, adults and children is quite it's quite a large pool in that sense. So if there's any way, and then I think then when you personalized it from the perspective through chronic illnesses and mental health issues, I got much clearer. So that's really clear. You could even go a little bit tighter on that. You know, is there particular illnesses that you've had experiences with or anything like that? Just to have a little think about.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to, just like the previous person, Zelina, I'm into yoga and Ayurveda, and I do so many things. It is very difficult to narrow down to one thing. For example, I also do corporate workplace wellness programs. I also help people in sports to achieve highest performance levels through yoga and meditation. And then I'm working with kids, like specialized programs for dyslexia, speech problems, motor skills problem, and then adults suffering from anything related to chronic illness, which comes from stress and lifestyle. So just maybe if you could give me a little bit of your perspective on how I can try and be more specific given the large range of things.
Okay, so I know a little bit more. So I actually think from everything that you've said that you do, you've managed to actually bring it into something that's quite sort of succinct, if you know what I mean. I think there's also a place for you, depending on who you speak to certainly add in that corporate element, because I do think that the well-being aspect and corporate is that space is just going to grow over the next 12 to 18 months. So if there's some way that you can say that maybe in the next part, I'm also particularly passionate about working with corporate organizations to bring in well-being into the workplace. And that just kind of gives you that other part to it.
Okay, I think that's
sorry, but I do think what you'd said to bring it into that short space, you did what the simple equation was. So well done.
Thank you. But I appreciate your feedback also, and I will try and I think depending on the audience, if I'm talking to somebody in a corporate world, then I will just focus on that corporate. And if I'm talking to an individual person who I know might be a potential customer for maybe mental health or something like that, then I can customize it to that person.
Absolutely. And I think that's great advice for everyone else that's listening, trying to fit everything under all their hats as well. Thank you for sharing. Jen, do we have time for one or two more? Hello.
Okay, Kelly, maybe Jennifer has lost the mic, or we have an issue with her mic. So tell me. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry, there we go.
Perfect.
Sorry about that. The next one is Lolita. Lolita, are you available?
Hey, yeah, I'm here, but I'm not going to switch on my camera because I've literally just come back from the gym, so look a state, sorry.
Okay. Well,
there's
I won't spotlight you then.
Lolita, in that. There's authenticity in that. Anyway, I'll be like, nice to meet your name. What is it that you do?
Hi, Kelly. So I help startup founders connect with other founders and investors within the Middle East to help them grow their professional network.
Nice. Okay, easy. That's really easy, because immediately I start to think of, okay, who do I know as a startup, and how could I connect you? And just a little bit, just because I'm interested to know in that aspect, the startup, what is it that you're doing? You're helping them grow, but what's like, how do you help them grow? Are you a marketing company? Is it a community? What is it that you're actually doing?
Yeah, it's essentially a community that we're building. It's more of a networking platform. So think of LinkedIn, but very personable and very niche.
Okay, so there might need to be that element of bringing that word in, community. I would have thought, just to give a little bit more kind of clarity on that sort of piece, because I was maybe just missing that tiny bit of how do you do it? Do you know what I mean? And then if you're going, it's through a community, I understand, or use the word platform, or, you know, say it through again.
I help startup founders connect with other founders and investors within the Middle East to help grow their professional network.
Yeah, I think you're missing that piece of utilize, you know, bringing together on a platform or community or something. I think that needs to go in there just to give a little bit more clarity.
Okay.
Is there anything you wanted to add on that, Jen?
No, I agree with you on that as well.
Cool.
So
next
up, yeah, I think we have time for one more. Aisha Chisti, if you're available. If not,
you're welcome, Lolita.
If not, I'm going to pick on Beata, because I see Beata in the middle of my screen and I see that Beata's volunteered. So we'll get Beata to do hers very quickly.
So my name is Beata and I'm an award-winning mindset coach helping professional women build and grow a passion-driven, profitable business and get clients by leveraging their unique strengths.
Awesome. Very clear, very, very clear. Can you just say it once more again?
Mm-hmm. I'm an award-winning mindset coach and I help professional women build and grow a passion-driven, profitable business and get clients by leveraging their unique strengths.
Okay, cool, because you were clear. I didn't hear it the first time, the professionals. That's why I'd asked you. So maybe I think there's quite a lot of words in that I help professionals to, and what was there was
professional women.
Yeah, and then what was the little bit after that?
To build and grow a passion-driven, profitable business and get clients.
Yeah, I think it was, I love alliteration, by the way. I do love it. That was like professionals, passionate, profitable. I think that was where then I had missed the professionals, which I love, but I think maybe people hearing that maybe need to take out one word, because I needed to ask twice, who was your market? I didn't hear the professionals. Jen, what was your
maybe
thought?
I just say women.
Yeah, I would just keep it a little bit simpler, because, you know, you never know, and especially in this part of the world as well, that we're dealing with so many different cultures, and English isn't people's first language a lot of times, that I find that it's best just to keep it simple. So maybe just fewer words, but Beata, you're getting a lot of love in the chat box as well. I see a lot of people are saying they love your energy. And someone else has said as well that they loved your Passion to Profit Summit that you did as well online.
Thanks for attending.
Yeah. Great.
Awesome. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks. Kelly, I think I'm keen to finish up on time, and we've got about 4 minutes left. So I want to give you the time to finish up. So I think we'll put an end to the elevator pitches, but it's amazing to hear what some of you have done. And there's a lot of examples in the chat box as well. Maybe, shall I just read out a couple of them in the chat box just before we go?
Go for it.
Hang on. So my passion is to work with managers and leaders who are open to explore management systems and integrate problem-solving practices in the workplace.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And then we have, this was from Aisha. I wanted Aisha to do her pitch, but she said, I'm the founder of The Skin Concept, an award-winning manufacturing company, premium handmade bath and skincare products. That's quite straightforward and clear.
Yeah.
And then there's one other one who said, I'm a jewelry designer. I make my own designs on metals that are mainly inspired from Egyptian art.
Okay, good, because I like this sort of what's your secret sauce? Why are you standing out? And it's towards the Egyptian inspo. So I like that.
Yeah. A couple more. I'm passionate about working side by side with Canadian businesses and those wishing to enter the Canadian market through various networking possibilities by growing businesses of all sizes through tailor-made programs.
Yeah, maybe make that a tiny bit shorter, but generally I think, you know, you've got the key pieces in there.
Yeah. And who else do we have? I educate, certify, and create jobs for special ed graduates.
Oh, okay, that was pretty clear.
Yeah. So I think we have lots more. All of you are coming in and giving me examples now. We have to stop. So Kelly, I'm going to hand it over to you to wrap up. And I think there's a few more slides. Are there to go through?
We've got the last poll now.
Oh, great. Yeah, actually, before all of you go, as you know as well, within UN Women, we really, really, really need your feedback. So please, can I ask you to fill in the poll super fast? It really helps us to be able to deliver more of these sessions as well for you. So if you could please just give us 10 seconds of your time to answer those, that will be excellent as well, just to let us know what you thought, how your knowledge is afterwards, if you found today's session useful. Kelly, do you have any last thoughts that you would like to share on elevator pitches as well?
I would say just practice, 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 and go back to sort of that first element that I talked about, you know, ask your spouse, because I often think that this is quite interesting, or your friend, get them to go, before you go into yours, can you tell other people what it is I do? Like, give me an example, because I think that's real clarity on if your partner or your best friend doesn't know what it is you do, or your mom or dad, which I often think is quite funny and I hear it quite a lot, especially with the digital era now. People are like, oh, they think I just look at Facebook all day or whatever it is. You know, if your mom and dad or your gran can't understand it, it's too complicated. So simplify it and make it much, much, much easier. So that would be my my parting thoughts with that. And yeah, it was just really lovely to meet you all and be interactive. And I really do hope you've got value from this, and I look forward to hearing, you know, your stories. If you're inspired, if you, you know, you've got value, come and tell me. I'd love to know all these stories. Instagram, LinkedIn, just come and say hi.
Oh, thank you so much for your time, Kelly. And it was really great to get your enthusiasm and to hear your expertise on how people can refine their elevator pitches. I think there was some really useful takeaway from today as well. So I would like to just say, closing, thank you so much to all of you for attending. Thank you to UN Women and to NAMA Women Advancement for making today possible. And as always, you know, we are always so much stronger together, and when we work and collaborate together. I wish you all a wonderful holiday and a happy new year. For anybody who's an Arabic speaker, we have an Arabic speaking session which is coming up next week on finance, and you will receive an email about that. If you're not an Arabic speaker, the English speaking program will continue in January, and we have lots more topics and masterclasses coming up for you starting in January. So we wish you all the best for the holidays, and we will see you back here in January. Thanks, everyone.
See you.
Thank you.